Hello, my friends. Hello. Welcome back. We got another episode of Guardians Daily for you. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, we are presented by FanArch. Gonna hop right into the action from last night at Progressive Field. Kind of boring game. Tough start for Joey Cantillo. Probably his worst start of the season, which has been a very good and successful season so far for him, really establishing himself as a big league starter. This is the first real season he's gone all the way so far. And I think there's been a lot to like with him. Obviously, I've talked a lot about his changeup. I think that's the pitch that's really made him effective this year and really helped his efficiency. So there's a lot to like with Cantillo so far this season. Didn't have it last night. And it was the issue that really was what his concern was early in his career. It was control, it was command, it was too many walks, too many free passes, and not trusting his stuff enough to throw it over the plate. He said it after the game. You can really tell he was frustrated with his performance. And you said he's got to get back to what he was doing early in the season, especially when he was just throwing that changeup and that other off speed stuff in the zone, using it, throwing it for strikes instead of getting so careful and being a little bit scared. Obviously they really didn't hit him much last night. Only gave up the two or three hits, and the runs really just came from a little bit of junk and just too many free runners on, and you making it too hard on yourselves. And obviously, when you're not throwing the ball in the zone, it makes it really hard to get that swing and miss stuff, that chase from opposing teams. And Washington, credit to them, which I really like their lineup in general. Obviously, they've put up two big outings offensively in their trip to Cleveland, so it's easy to look at it and not watch much Nationals this year and say, man, these guys must be awesome. But I was looking into it a little bit. They have a really solid offense, one of the best lineups in the game, honestly, right now, in terms of some of the numbers and stuff like that. In terms of James Wood, CJ Abrams, they got a couple studs, like I mentioned yesterday. There's some more depth pieces there as well. Obviously, their pitching is a big reason they're still, I mean, they're above 500, which for the Nationals, based on where they've been since they've won that World Series back with Strasburg and Scherzer and Juan Soto and Anthony Rendon back in the day when they beat the Astros, probably one of the best, one of my personal favorite World Series series in general and teams. I really enjoyed that Nationals team. Since then, they've been depleted. They've been gutted. Obviously, the Juan Soto trade seems to have really paid off. That's obviously how they got a lot of their big pieces from that. Obviously, they got some arms and also the big move with Abrams as well. So yeah, that worked out well enough for them. Obviously, it didn't work out for the Padres. They only got 2 years out of Soto, but look at things there. I think it's an old interesting ripple effect from the since that World Series, how things have split up. Obviously, Anthony Rendon, his career went down the drain with the Angels. Seems to be a trend for a lot of people with the Angels. But you look at those things from that Nationals team, and you look going into this year, really hadn't been much to get excited about except those big power bats. But they've, hey, above 500, two big wins for them in Cleveland. So you got to give them credit coming here, especially when the Guardians had been red hot coming home for a Monday through Wednesday series. Obviously, they will play Wednesday afternoon. That's 1:10 first pitch at Progressive. Gavin Williams will be on the mound. So we'll see how things go there. But yeah, from Cantillo, obviously just did not have the command. Similar to, I mean, not similar to Bybee in terms of the fact Bybee he was throwing some over the plate. They were just getting hit out of the park. Uh, but not in that respect. But obviously, both guys with just poor outings, back to back nights, which you haven't really seen much at all from this rotation this season. That's why it stands out so much. That's why you can end up getting some big reactions on like Guardians Twitter and things of that nature on a game where really you're playing the Nationals in end of May. Was it really matter? Sure, not. But I mean, this is a big run. Obviously, you're coming home after a stretch like that. You had a good crowd, especially on Monday with the holiday and everything, and just didn't capitalize and took them out of it early. That's two games in a row where you get in a deficit early and you're playing from behind, just putting a lot of pressure on that lineup. But they really haven't done that much this year. It's been a lot of the opposite, getting ahead early and giving the pitching staff a lot to work with, not giving up much and making things a little easier on the lineup. So they've been a good job. Obviously, one of the best teams in the American League so far. So you can't get too negative on this team or anything right now. And they've usually so far this year, it's been a lot of good playing both sides of the field baseball and really complementing each other. So look for it. Try and get back on track with that today with Gavin Williams on the mound. I want to talk about some more things we saw from last night and so far from this series. Obviously, last night we got a major league debut for our left-handed pitcher out of Columbus, AAA call up Will Dion. Dion, they've started both so far, but we'll get that locked in. I think it's Dion. But he made his debut last night. A nice little left-handed arm, obviously. I think a guy who got caught a lot of attention in spring training because I think, and I wasn't the first person to say it, but there was a lot of Clayton Kershaw comparisons in terms of windup and delivery and motion. Obviously, not in terms of status or what we're getting and what the expectations are for Will. But I think it was kind of exciting. Obviously, when you get a young guy like this, he's got some funky action. Obviously, doesn't throw the hardest. He was low 90s. I think he topped out at 93. Maybe he got to 94. But liked what I saw from him. Obviously, he did give up runs on the last batter of the game for him, and actually the runner got thrown out at second, trying to stretch it into a double to get his last out of his outing. Went almost 3 innings though. Really solid start for him to his career. I think it was a guy kind of unexpected call up, but he had been lights out this last month in AAA. Bullpen needs an extra arm right now, obviously. Another left-handed arm helps as well with the Sobrowski injury. Seems like they avoided the worst with that. Honestly, that should have been a segment of its own. But yeah, Eric Sobrowski is out. He's on the IL. Seems to have avoided the worst. They said it's some inflammation. It could be maybe a month, maybe two. Could be less than that. Who knows with Sobrowski? But doesn't seem like surgery is going to be needed at this moment. Hopefully, that is the case going forward. But it seemed like it could have been a lot worse for Eric Sobrowski. So obviously, thoughts with him. That's a big loss for this Guardians bullpen. Obviously, like Sobrowski's been awesome this year, so that sucks. Yeah, that definitely should have been a segment, but I forgot to put it on the side. But we covered it. We covered it. We're getting into it. So yeah, a bummer, and that's a blow to this Guardians pen. Do not undervalue how good Eric Sobrowski has been this year, especially coming out being a left-handed arm for them in these tight situations, gives them a different look. So a lot of opportunities for people to step up. Holderman's going to be getting some more opportunities, I'd imagine, because his stuff's been pretty good. Um, Tim Herron, this is a chance for Tim Herron to try and get back towards the back end of that bullpen and show what he's capable of. Obviously, we've seen some good stuff in the past from Tim Herron, but it hasn't been lights out necessarily this year. Obviously, he was dealing with a little bit of injuries as well over the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see what him and then Will Dion. We got a chance. Will Dion, we got a chance here. See what he's made of as well. Uh, it's tough though. It is tough. Obviously, injuries. The Guardians have been pretty fortunate so far this year, not major injuries. Obviously, Gabriel Arias has been one. He's been out for almost 2 months now, and we don't really have a timeline on him. I guess we're maybe a month and a half right now, but haven't heard an update in a little bit on him. Last time we checked, he was starting to do some BP, but still just really can't run or stride like he needs to with that hamstring injury. Looked pretty severe when it happened, and it kind of felt like one that might linger. Well, it's lingering, so we're not sure where things stand there. And also, we really don't know what the role or what the lineup adjustment will be for the Guardians when our Gabriel Arias gets back. Because, like, what do you do here with Arias? Obviously, this is a ways away from everything we've been hearing, but it could be within the next month or so. So we might as well float it out there. What else do we got to talk about? It's May 27th. So, yeah, Arias obviously the hamstring injury, but when he is say he's back and he's ready to play, I'm curious what the moves will be. Obviously, I think at this point they actually do have enough roster flexibility where which was concerned previously in terms of whose spots they give up. I think there's enough guys towards the bottom of this roster that they have that move ready to be made. So that's not a biggest concern in terms of it could have been maybe a couple weeks ago when you were trying to think about this, especially now. Had some bullpen changes, obviously, Bazana's here now. That's a big change to the Arias situation as a middle infield spot's pretty much fully taken. He's your everyday second baseman, and I think they don't see any move being made with Rocchio anytime soon. So maybe he just kind of fills in and tries to pick his spots and work his way back. That'll probably be the more the direction it goes, and find your at bats when you can, or eventually a DFA could be there. Obviously, they've been hesitant to do it in the past, but as we said, he's out of options. So Arias will be with the big leagues, or he'll be with another team at the point of his return. So something to keep an eye on there. Obviously, we covered the Sobrowski injury as well. So consider that when you're watching these games going forward, and especially these next couple weeks. So see who can fill that role in the back of the bullpen. You know, it's gonna be tough. That's a big loss for this Guardians bullpen because Sabrowski's been that good for them this season and really stepped into that setup man role and really been a nice boost to take some pressure off of Cade Smith and some of the other pen arms. But I think they're going to have to have to persevere, have to work through it. Obviously, Hunter Gaddis is going to be getting some more opportunities. He's been better of late. He's been working off his injury to start the season. So everyone's going to have to step up. It's going to be a committee and then see who ends up taking that role and stepping up and taking the mantle at the back of this bullpen. I want to talk a little bit more about the Angel Martinez. I mean, this is going to be quick. This is a quick segment. Just a couple awesome throws and plays off the wall in this series against the Nationals so far. He's thrown out 2 runners in 2 games already, both at second base, trying to stretch doubles on him. That's a huge boost. He's thrown out guys at home before earlier this season as well. You've seen he's got the arm. That's a nice boost for this Guardians defensively. Obviously, his bat had been really good this season. He's in a little bit of a slump right now. So is Schneemann, which kind of felt inevitable. He's based on how Daniel Schneemann's career has gone with the ups and downs since, it's only his second season, but how things work there. I guess it's third season probably now that you look at it. But in terms of making sure he can stay in the lineup as well, Schneemann robbed one in center last night. So credit to both these guys. Even though their bats are starting to slip a little bit, they're still keeping it together in the field. I think Schneemann, Steven Vogt has been pretty adamant. He's there. If they have to pick one guy to play center, he trusts Schneemann out there more than anybody if he's going to be in the lineup. So, hey, that's credit to him, and he made it look good last night, robbing that one, taking a home run away from the Washington Nationals. So that was nice to see. And then, yeah, like we said, Angel Martinez really doing a nice job. Obviously, he's not making a lot of mental errors out there as much as early in his career. That's been nice to see. And then, yeah, like to see him throwing runners out. And they were 2 perfectly played off the wall. You can start, he's starting to feel that comfort out there, especially both those being in Progressive Field at his home ballpark. One in left field, one in right field, doing it from both sides of the diamond. Very impressive from Angel Martinez. And, I think we've seen enough flashes with his bat that I just think you stay patient there. Don't put too much pressure on him. He'll come around. He did not look great at the plate last night. He was chasing a lot. Just got to get back to that patient approach like we've seen with other guys in this lineup. Obviously, Bazzana's patience right now has been awesome to see. And, yeah, just try and work through things there. But seeing some flashes in the field that are going to give you some more depth to this team gives you the more options, the better for this team right now, defensively, offensively, more places people can play with, the more comfort, not having to make subs for players late in games, things like that. So very valuable. Like to see that from Angel Martinez in the field. And then we want to look towards Wednesday. We got an afternoon game. This has been a tough series, obviously, for the York Guardians. But you got your ace on the mound. You got Gavin Williams. Got to try and get one. Got an off day Thursday, which the team can use. And then a weekend series coming up. We're going to preview all that and more tomorrow. Get to that for tomorrow's episode. And then we got a fun weekend at the ballpark. So a lot to like for this Guardians team coming up. Still right in the middle of that hunt at the top of the American League. Starting to pull away with that division going into the weekend, but things have tightened up a little bit after their 2 losses to the Nationals. So a big one Wednesday at Progressive. Midday. If you're at work, you can watch it on your phone. You can find ways to get your Guardians baseball in. And then we're going to cover it all tomorrow. Get a little series recap, a little off day. We'll find some stuff to talk about tomorrow. And then Friday, we will have a series preview for your weekend series at Progressive Field for your Cleveland Guardians. So I appreciate you tuning in to today's episode of Guardians Daily. We'll see you next time.